Hey, Donte. You've been on teams that have gone all the way and those that have gotten close. Looking back, did this team fulfill its potential this year? And if not, what do you think the X factors were that prevented it?
Based on the rest of your question, I think you don't think we fulfilled it either, which I agree. I agree. This team has a lot of potential, and I think the difference between those teams that go all the way, and then earlier just the little things. Superstars are going to be superstars, and then everything else has to be, all the little plays are big plays down the stretch and give you a chance to win. And unfortunately, this series they made a lot of the little plays, and we did not. They beat us to a lot of 50-50 balls, offensive rebounds. They did all the little things that when you look back at it, those are the things that you can control. But it also gives you a perspective that you're not far off. And you're right there, so we just have to be ready to, try to get another bite at the apple.
Donte, you've spoke a lot this year about this team being a really close-knit group. Just how much did these guys mean to you personally?
It's cool. It was a good year, an unexpected year. You go into, the summertime last year, and you're thinking you're in a place, and then the day before season, everything changes, and there's a big adjustment, and, immediately – to have guys that haven't been through that but try to make you that they understand it and make you feel at home and make you feel good about just going to play basketball and also just the fans. I think, not to shortchange the guys on the team, but the fans were amazing for me and my family. Made it feel like home right away and comfortable. So it's, it's just the beginning. And I mean, yeah, it was a hell of a year. It was a hell of a year.
Do you think continuity, the fact that team had been together for so long, had been through the wars together, and you guys had still, even though you won the first two playoff series, just hadn't faced that level of difficulty in the postseason? Do you think that was a factor?
I think there was a lot of factors, but if you look at those guys and you have to tip your hat to the joy that they got with having each other succeed, and that comes with that continuity. And I think, this group, we have it. Now there's a few new pieces with me and Julius being added, and guys later on down the line with Rudy and Mike only being here a couple years, but Ant, Jaden, Nas, like those guys have been. That's that core right there, and those are the guys that. You can lean on for that continuity. And like I said, we're not far off. We're right there. And everybody has, positive feelings. But when you go back and look at it, is those little things. Can we make those consistently throughout the entire season and not try to, have a season where we're digging ourselves out of a hole every 5 weeks? And then once you get to the playoffs, that's second nature, and it's already, it's a habit at that point.
Donte, Julius was just in here talking about how it kind of caught him by surprise, how much he feels like he fit in with Minnesota in this franchise. It was obviously your first year here too. Do you feel like over the last couple of years, this perception has changed about this franchise and how good it can be? And from your perspective, your first season in Minnesota and how you felt about it?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, when you put someone like Anthony Edwards in a market, it's attractive. And then, you get a bunch of good guys around him, and you get to experience the amazing people in the community that otherwise, if we didn't play here, you don't understand what it's like. You don't understand what it's like living here and interacting with the fans every single day at restaurants, at coffee shops, and stuff like that. So that's what makes the difference for players. Personally, that's what makes the difference is you can have a bad day at the office and you go to a coffee shop and there's 10 fans there that just treat you like a normal citizen, but they also hype you up, and that makes it enjoyable to be a part of it. And everybody can feel that. And like I said, when you have a talent like Ant and somebody who the character that he has and what he brings every single day, there's no surprise that we're all loving this place.
Donte, what changed for you the most throughout the season to allow you to settle in?
It's been a season of just adapting. Role last year, role going into the season was one thing, and like I said, right before the season, having to adapt. And then throughout the season, having to adapt to different roles and different, what's asked of you. And that's kind of, things change throughout the whole year. And, I talked to Coach Wright a lot throughout the year of just how to adapt to certain things, how to try to stay out of my own way. And he always reminded me that, you're just a complete basketball player. Whatever's asked of you, just do it, and everything will work out for you in the long run. And that's still my mindset. Whatever's asked of me going forward is, what I'll do, but try to just keep expanding and growing and figuring out what, this team needs around Ant.
Donte, you talked about Ant. What is the biggest thing you learned about him that you didn't know before being his teammate?
He's a great dude. He's a great. How old is he? 23. The dude's 23 years old. He's like, I'm not saying it like I'm 50, but like the dude's a young kid that is just so charismatic and cares about his teammates and just wants to have fun. And when you're around that every day, that energy wears off on everybody. It rubs off on the coaches, the players, the staff. You want to come in and have a good day because he's going to come in with a smile on his face, and that's the fun side of everything. But then also you learn that dude is an animal, how hard he works. And we were talking throughout the year, and he said, last year I focused going into this season on my 3-ball, and he goes and sets the NBA, leads the NBA in threes. So when he says last night, no one's going to work harder than him, I can bet my money that no one's going to work harder than him. So just being around that every day has been amazing, and look forward to a long time with him.
Donte, a lot of that regular season was about you and Julius kind of adapting, and then the team adapting to you guys. Is there like a new process that starts in the playoffs with that same thing, you think, with the same group, or is it more a continuation of that process?
No, I mean, if you look at it, when we came back from injury, both of us, I think, we're second in offense, I think, and I think we were top 10 in defense, but I don't think we were clicking as well defensively that we would like. I think, overall our expectation is you want to be the best defensive team. But going into the playoffs, you are what you are at that point. There's no reinventing the wheel of trying to figure out how to make guys happy and stuff. Like, no, you are what you are, and you're trying to figure out how to win. And that goes back to the first question I was asked is, your superstars are going to be superstars, and then everybody else, can you do the little things at a high rate to give yourself a chance to win? And we did it for 2 series. And I think this series we did it at just not a high enough rate. If you look at the categories, we won a lot of categories, but the categories that we lost were huge categories that they took advantage of.
Hey, Donte, you mentioned how Ant set his mind to improving his 3-point shot. Is there certain areas that you really want to focus on and make a priority as you go into your offseason here?
No, it's just more so just figuring out, where the shots are going to come from. Like I said, this year has been a year of adapting. You look back at last year, I got my shots in very consistent ways. I knew every single day I'm getting them in transition, or I'm getting them in a corner off Jaden's ISOs, or I'm getting them off a DHO with Isaiah. I knew exactly where. So this year, it's just been, it's been fluid, trying to figure out where your shots are going to be, trying to figure out what Ant likes. And if you go back and look at throughout the year, I went back to my comfort zone of sometimes just getting into a DHO with Julius and just playing off of Julius a lot. And that kind of gets me back into a rhythm. So this summer is just, still feeling that out and trying to work with these guys. I know everybody's going to be around each other. Everybody's going to work with each other and try to build that continuity again and more, and just understanding for me just where the shots are going to come from, so then I can work on that throughout the entire summer. Thank you.